Hi everyone, it's Matt here from Did You Dine online restaurant courses. I'm just making this video just to officially, I suppose, introduce myself, explain who I am, explain what I've done in the hospitality industry, what I've achieved and what I'm currently doing, etc. Because there's only so much you can put on a CV, write on a piece of paper, and I just want to explain exactly, like I just said, who I am, what I can do for you, and why I've set up this YouTube channel, etc. Because I've done a lot, and a video I think is the only way to explain it. Now this video is a bit long. I'm going to split this into reels, individual reels with the specific sections of this video, so you can skip straight to a specific minute or couple minute part of this video rather than watching the whole thing. But I've also done this video as a whole explanation for you, for those people that want to really understand what this YouTube channel is about, what you'll gain from it, and what exactly I've done with my life, my working life, my personal life, to learn what I've learned in order to achieve what I've achieved in the food industry. So first of all, my name is Matthew Longfoot. I'm English. I failed school. One reason is because I can't write very well, which is an embarrassing thing to say that you can't do when you're a child, or even now as a 39-year-old, but I can assure you it's something that I've sincerely struggled with my whole life. I know how to spell, I can read, I can write on a keyboard, so I know how to write. It's just physically there is something wrong with my hand that I've just struggled with it. I can sign a piece of paper, I can write my name down and basic stuff, but to kind of write in a context with like the education system, I've struggled with massively. Now this is nothing to do with food, I know, but I'll get to my point in a minute. But because of this, I struggled at school and I failed. I failed because of other reasons and stuff. I didn't like it, etc. But mainly because I was accused of being lazy and stupid and just not bothering to make an effort. And the amount of people who said, "Oh, how could anyone not be able to write?" Well, I assure you, someone can, and it's me. But anyway, it's kind of why I got into working in restaurants, I suppose. But because like I say, I didn't get past the stage of the academic life or education system as far as the age of 16 concerned, because I just failed all the exams because I just couldn't write and I couldn't learn very well because of that. And I just lost interest in the whole thing, and I got a job in my local pub scrubbing pots, which was hard work, but I enjoyed it. It was physical. I didn't need to write. I just cleaned pots, and I was good at it. I enjoyed working the hostile, rapid temperament of a kitchen. I like the fact it was hot in the kitchen. I like hot weather now. I live in Spain now. Probably some sort of psychology behind that, but yeah, I got a job scrubbing pots, and I worked every hour that was given to me, and I worked hard, and I just became quite fascinated with this concept of cooking. It's an amazing thing, and there's one thing cooking at home, cooking for your family, yourself, your friends, but to cook professionally in a commercial kitchen, it's a completely different ball game. It's hard, it's dangerous, it's rapid, it's stressful, it's tiring, it's complex, it's very, very stressful. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of talent to be good at it. But anyway, I got a job as a chef. I moved to Leeds when I was 16, and I got a job in a restaurant there, a very nice restaurant, where I was really not very good, because I went from scrubbing the pots to just throwing it in the deep end in quite a fancy restaurant, and I had to quickly learn how to be better, which I did, because I just wanted to become as good as I could at that stage in my life. I was only 16 at the time, and I was living on my own in the centre of Leeds, which is in the north of England, and I was from just near Cambridge, which is southern England, South Midlands, if you like. And I just kept working hard at just being better, learning how to cook, learning what to do in a commercial kitchen, how to organise your time, how to plan time cooking when an order comes on. It was it was very hard, to be honest. It was very, very hard, but I stuck at it and I became good. And I just moved from restaurant to restaurant. Once I learned a menu in a restaurant, I went to another restaurant to learn the different menu, different food, different techniques, etc. And I just kept doing that for quite some time. And I then became generally interested in the industry, because this was like late 90s, early 2000s, before social media, before even mobile phones, and people used to interact physically a lot more, and the bars and restaurants and stuff like this was, as anyone of my age knows, it was how you met people. The only way you can meet people is to physically go to these places. But anyway, from there I just kept moving, learning, etc. I then set myself a goal to someday buy my own restaurant. Because at this stage I was working for a long time in other people's restaurants, which was great, but it was tiring, it was hard work, the money wasn't great at the time, and the hours were really bad. I never saw any of my friends and families, and every girlfriend I ever met, I only lasted for a few months because they got fed up with the fact I worked all the hours that I did and they never saw me. But I thought, well, if I own a restaurant, then it would change things. But I didn't have enough money, so I had to work hard, and it was very tough. But anyway, I came up with the plan to buy my own restaurant by the time I was 30 years old. And at this stage I moved to Nottingham, where I set up a catering company called Don Paella, which was because of my love for Spanish culture, Spanish cuisine, Spanish lifestyle, etc. I live in Barcelona now because I've managed to move here through the sale of my last restaurant, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I set up this catering company because I did some market research, some trend research, and some demographic analysis of what was going on in the industry at the time, what was going on in the city of Nottingham at the time, what people wanted to do, what they wanted to have. And I did a lot of surveys, just standing on the streets, asking people, interviewing people, what you want to do. If I was to set up this catering company, would you use it? What sort of food would you want? Bang. And I had a tally system, and I checked off all the answers I got, and the number one was Spanish paella, believe it or not. So there we go. From the horse's mouth, the demographic itself in the local area told me what they wanted, so I set up exactly what I was told, which was a Spanish catering company. And I moved to Nottingham, and I networked with all the local papers and the food and drinks critics, editors, all the local magazines, the influencers, the local restaurants, bars, you name it. I networked with them. I went to networking events and met people, interacted, and bang, 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 bang. Before I knew it, I was absolutely rammed busy with work, with customers. I couldn't even prepare enough food for the orders and bookings I had. So I then decided to see if I could somehow rent a kitchen from someone, a bigger kitchen, a more commercialised one, because at the time I was using my garage at home. I kind of turned it into like a safe, hygienic commercial kitchen. I had all the environmental health officers come and check it off, which they did. I had the newspaper come and video me doing some food in there to put in the newspaper, etc. It was all kosher, it was all proper, it was all clean and hygienic. However, I needed it to be bigger, better, and more efficient. So I went out looking for restaurants that maybe have had a spare space, or restaurants that had closed their kitchen down because they just wanted to focus on drinks rather than food, like a pub a couple miles outside the city. And I just happened to walk past this closed down restaurant in Hockley, Nottingham, Heathcote Street, and it said for sale, and I was like, oh, interesting. So I managed to find out who the landlord was, and I contacted them, and I got hold of the people that currently had the lease of the place. And I cut a long story short for this section of this video, but I managed to meet these tenancy holders, the leaseholders, and I looked around the premises. I wasn't very satisfied with it because it was just horribly kitted out. It was quite clearly a failed business. The equipment was very old, probably didn't work very well, and the people that currently own it had just lost all faith in it, which is a very common thing to happen in this industry. And it's something I'm going to talk about many times over in my courses and in the other video tutorials and resources, etc. Because this is all about helping people like you, but I'm just explaining who I am, what I've done, etc. Anyway, I managed to, after months and months of solicitors doing all the paperwork and stuff and negotiations and research and I took over this restaurant. And I remember the day I got the keys and I walked into the restaurant. It was one of the worst looking restaurants I've ever been in my entire life, but it was a restaurant and it was in the centre of Nottingham in Hockley, the epicenter of the hipster part of Nottingham at the time, probably still is today. But I've never been so proud in my life with myself, because I was 29 years old, by the way, so I achieved that goal a year before I'd set it myself. I had managed to save the money from the catering thing and negotiate correctly, harshly, I suppose. But what I said to the current people was, with all due respect, your business has failed. You've closed your business down, which is the worst thing you could ever do, because there's no turnover, there's no customers, and it's worth nothing. And you're still paying the rent, and you've got the liabilities of the lease. And I'm prepared and I'm willing to take that off you, giving you no responsibility for the future payments and maintenance responsibilities. But we need to come up with a fair deal for both of us. And again, this is part of the negotiations part of my courses that I do, but we'll get to that in another stage. But anyway, that day I got the keys. The restaurant wasn't open, but because I owned it, I walked in, I closed the door behind me, and I was like, oh my God. I collapsed my knees, and it was a very emotional time for me, to be honest, because it was like, my God, I've bought my own restaurant, this is wicked. And then after about 10 minutes of just lying there with a smile on my face, I looked around, I was like, oh my God, I've got some work cut out for me, and not that much money left to do what's needed. So I had to put my creative thinking mind on and see if I could solve the problems that was needed to be done with creativity, not money, which I did. But I opened the restaurant, I turned it from a vegetarian restaurant into a tapas restaurant because of the success of the Don Paella catering company that I'd done and the research from the demographic and local area. It's what they wanted. I opened it as a tapas restaurant in the centre of Hockley, the centre of Nottingham, and it was the third tapas or Spanish style restaurant in the whole city. By the time I sold the restaurant 3 years ago, it was the 27th Spanish styled restaurant in the city, because people had I'd kind of, I wouldn't say set the trend, but I'd noticed the trend and I'd made it better. Basically, I'd set the benchmark of an existing rise of a trend through my correct customer surveying, my market research, my analysis of the general food industry market at the time, just what people wanted. And I then sold it, and it was quite an emotional time because I put all my work. I ran it for 3 years. From a failed closed down restaurant, 3 years later I sold it for a profit, and it was only a small restaurant. It only had 36 seats in it, but it was right in the centre of Nottingham. If it was twice as big, I could not have filled it. I could not have had too many customers still, even if it was twice as big. And it's one of the things I wished I had, is more seats, but I didn't. But not to worry, I sold it for profit, so that was the main thing. So after that, I moved back home to my hometown, and I got asked. I did a bit of freelance chefing, and I got offered a head chef job for a year, and I did that. And going back to when I had the other restaurant, it was called the Tapestry, by the way. Tapestry is in try tapas, inverted, play on words, blah 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 blah. But I was also I got headhunted to be a new product development chef and consultant for the largest food production factory in the whole of Europe, and I did this simultaneously of having the Tapestry restaurant. And I drove to work in the morning. I woke up at like 5 in the morning, got to the job at 8, did a day's work, finished at 5, drove from there straight to my restaurant in Hockley, and I did an evening shift there. During the lunchtimes I had another chef just covering me while I was at work, and then I did all day Saturdays. Sundays the restaurant was closed and I just slept all day. It was very, very hard work. It was very tiring.